You know, punks like Kristen are just going to be staying home watching the videos. She's going to even stop coming to class. No. She'll watch it later, though. Or maybe she'll show up late. If she shows up late, I'm going to have egg on my face. But not really, because that might happen. Yeah. Yeah. So, week 3. So what we're going to talk today about is creating content with WordPress, editing and formatting text in WordPress, uploading and using images, creating navigation and menus. So again, we are just going to try to rip through those lectures. We'll probably, like I said, in this class, just try to get in so you can then hopefully have some lab time on Wednesdays. Okay, so now, those students that asked me questions while I was trying to set things up, when you shouldn't be asking me questions because I'm trying to set things up and you're interrupting me and I can't focus on more than one thing at a time. It's my problem. I understand. So Janine, what was your question? Did you have a question? You do? Hold on. Now I'm ready.
I want to know, do I need to have 2 separate
repos
on my GitHub?
The answer is no. So I refined the assignments page a little bit. To say this, create a client staging area for your project. Then I'll have links to view your templates and proto-sites, and then create a GitHub account if you don't have one already, and link to your code repository for your templates that will eventually become your theme. Okay. So I also updated my staging area to reflect what I'm talking about. So basically what I did then is I have a headline for templates where then you can view my homepage template, my main page template, proto site. You can go see my original demo. If we look at the proto site for us right now, this is where we are. We've installed WordPress. You should have, by the assignment due date, you should have your install working. And then lastly, a link to your repository, okay? So currently, your repository should have your main page, your home page templates in there. See, look at that. She did come. I was talking about you on the video. And then that repository, as we go along, right? Here's your main, here's your home, right? Here's the style, original one. We are then going to turn this repository, turn this into your theme. Does that answer your question? Yeah. So just one repository. For my demo one, I made a template repository and then duplicated that into the theme repository. There's nothing, just one, right? What was your question? And you had a question. Oh, yeah. So when you, for the installing a pre-made theme, just do one, just for your own knowledge. Because again, what we're going to do, what we're going to start off today is we are going to start making content, putting content in here. So for a little while then, we will need to be able to navigate around the site and look at the site with content in it before we have created, excuse me, before we have converted our templates into our own theme, right? So for a couple of weeks or a week or so, I can't remember how long, I have to look at the schedule, you're going to just be looking at, you know, this, right? And even you can just go back to use WordPress theme that, you know, so if I log into this now, right? You can see that I installed Jelly. I installed my students one that wasn't very well. The one that's active right now is WordPress 2015, 2014, 2016. So you can, you know, even go back to just working with the out-of-the-box default theme for right now. Although, does this have a, it doesn't. Let's see if the other one, I'm looking for the one page. So, well, let's just say it like this. For this week, we are going to set up a navigation schema. Right now, you may not see the sample page in the navigation because we haven't set it up correctly yet. So let's just start adding content and kind of fly by the seat of our pants and see what happens, Janine, right? And by flying by the seat of our pants, I mean go and look at the lecture that has directions on how to fly by the seat of your pants, right? And also, I have my notebook. So basically, again, what we have in WordPress, or what we talked about in WordPress in terms of content, is that WordPress is split into pages and postings, right? So most of the content that you will see in WordPress, or how you think about, again, the post object, is post objects are more than likely either a posting or a page. So if I go to premiumdw.com and log in, and if I then look at my pages, right, this is where you can see that I set up a whole bunch of pages. So again, what's the difference between pages and postings? Well, if we go back and reference I've told you guys how awesome this is. This makes me so excited that I can go reference whiteboard drawings that I drew a while back for discussion instead of, remember that whiteboard drawing that I had up, and we can't reference it, right? So again, pages and postings, right? In terms of if this looks like a typical information architecture, if you have taken Web 105 or Web 200, how many of you have ever talked about information architecture in class? Probably all, right? So again, in a typical hierarchical information architecture, what we are challenged with doing is, if somebody, let's actually go to a whiteboard drawing out of the 200 class. So if you took Web 200 and we talked about information architecture in terms of a hierarchy, a set of pages, then that this guy right here, the blue man questions, is going to be at the home page. They're going to go through a what I call a gateway page or a main level page, possibly to get to a destination page to find their answer. This is what I'm talking about by a hierarchical information architecture of a set of pages, right? So pages are non-timely content, right, that may have answers about, hey, do you take this insurance? Or whatever latest question that you guys have. Do you serve chicken nuggets? Because my kid wants chicken nuggets, or mac and cheese, or whatever. Versus, then we may have a page, and we are going to have a page down the road, then called blog, right? So if I look at, where to go? I probably closed that tab. I want my business tab open. So if we were to then look at the pages here, eventually we are going to set our home page to be the front page, right? And we are going to create a page today called blog, and we are going to set that to be our posts page, okay? So remember when we were talking about settings, reading, and we said front page displays right now, either your latest, your latest, I had date night this weekend, so we got really, really super loaded. So that's all that's on my mind. I'm kidding, we didn't get super. So either a static page or your post page. Okay? So basically then, if we are in our WordPress Spring 2017 demo, I'm going to go to Dashboard here, and under the New menu up top, okay? So right now we have, again, everything is a post object, right? So right now under this menu, we have create a new post, create a piece of media, right? Upload a photo possibly, create a new page, create a new user, right? If we ever got to the point of adding certain plugins or whatever that were custom post types, like again, we're playing the game. How many WordPress installs can Mike log into? I'm saying about 4 is going to be average, I think. 5, you think? I'm going to go with 4. So if we go under the new menu here, you will notice that I have one for links, which is an older post type that doesn't really, people don't really use very much these days. But basically links are, let's see, we go back to this one, we visit sites. These right here, oh, they've totally, oh, no. These are then links to other places that, I go to the dashboard, and they've totally deleted it now, I think. Let's see. So if I go back here to this one, I have one for links here. It's kind of a legacy, so you might not see it. Don't worry about it. But you see new event right here. Okay, that's because in my website, then I've installed that all-in-one events calendar, right? And events now is a custom post type, okay? So post types then will show up under the new menu, okay? So again, for us, our two post types that we are going to be using today, we're going to be doing 3 today. We are going to make a new post. We are going to make upload media file, and we're going to make a set of pages. So no time like the present, right? Let's get on it. And I'm going to kind of talk about, as we're going through some of this stuff. Visit the site. Actually, I should go hit the back button, creating content. Those of you that are in the research or have taken the research methodologies class, what protocol am I using right now? Kristen, what protocol am I using right now? The Think Aloud protocol. Yeah, that was an HCD joke. A lot of you don't get it yet. You will after you take the research class. So we want to create new postings and new pages, okay? So I need some content. Yeah. HTML. Ipsum. That's not the right one. This is the right one. So if you need content, why are these puzzle pieces there? What's going on? You might want to go grab the kitchen sink here. Copy that. And then I am going to go to WEB170 dashboard, spring section demo, and I'm going to create a new posting. And let's discuss now the content editor. I can't remember what they call it. I'm used to calling it, you may have heard it called a rich text editor. Okay, so in WordPress, every time you create a posting or a page, right, or sometimes a custom post type, like if you have events or productions like I showed you in that wireframe demo, you will then have the editor, right? So the editor has 2 sections to it, right? Text, which is code. I really wish that they would have left this to say code versus the visual, where the visual is where I can say, this is a demo, and first demo posting, and I can give it a category if I want to, right? Right now, the only category that is there is uncategorized. And remember where we went into settings and we had, I think it was under reading or discussion. Let's see. Reading. Nope. Discussion. Writing. There it is. Default post category. We haven't set up any categories yet. Uncategorized is not necessarily a category that you're going to want to use, right? So I am going to then go to postings, categories, and I am going to set up a category called news. The slug then that will appear is, so let's kind of talk about slugs. So if I go to this, this posting right here, I have categories, announcements, classes. You can also see that I have a whole bunch of categories over here. So if I go and edit this post, again, this is a post, not a page. So a post is the timely content, right? I have in my categories menu over here a whole lot of categories. I can add new directly from here if I want to, right? Or like what's, oops, this one, right? Add new category here, news, and then the slug is, let me describe a slug when we are in pages. This is a slug right here, okay? So a slug is kind of part of the permalink, okay? And when you are calling things like, let's just kind of veer off the beaten path really quick. If I say WP query posts, and I wait a long time for that. Query posts is where we can, remember when I gave directions to a loop, show the latest whatever, show these by category. So what you can do then is use a slug, right? So if we say category apples, right, it's lowercase. It is going to be using the slug versus how this is uppercase right here. Does that make sense? Just roll with it. I see faces out there going. So if I say add new category, right, and now I go to edit new category, the slug is the URL friendly version of the name. Okay, so if you need to pull all latest postings with the category of news, you're not going to be using the uppercase N. You would be using the URL friendly slug, right? So if you get an error, right, down the line like that, just know that, you know, WordPress is pulling case sensitive materials, right? So we would be pulling the slug. Okay, so let's close that window. So now that I have my first demo posting and I can publish it, right now it got published with uncategorized. I'm going to change that to news. And every time you publish something, you want to then hit the update button. Or if you are not, okay, right? I can preview this as a draft. Okay, When I'm previewing, it's previewing post 11 or post object, page posting, whatever, 11, okay? I can save a draft. It's going to tell me this isn't published yet. So for instance, if I go back to, oh, how many tabs? Let's close some tabs because this is going to get ridiculous if I just have. So I need that one open. Let's close this one, close that one, close that one, close that one. Close this one. Reading settings. Visit site, not visit site, back to dashboard. 0. Hosts, cloud protocol. You can see that I have a few postings in here that, did I even start writing something up? Let's see. Wow. It's a lot of lorem ipsum. So I started something, but I never really got finished with it, so it's just left there as a draft and isn't published yet. Same thing, this case study, this whatever. All these other postings, though, have been published by an author with a category, okay? So if we go back to our first demo posting, we have published it, right? We've published it as a piece of news. If we have this over there, if you have this format thing here, right? Remember, this is what I was talking about where in my school website, I have that format thing over there in the right-hand side because my theme does not support those formats, right? I'll be honest with you. This whole format thing over here, I've never used, nor do I care about it. But what I do care about is showing you the rest of this interface, right? So when we do create a new posting or a new page, down the line, guaranteed, one of you is going to say, I don't see the box for excerpts, right? And here's probably why you don't see it. It's not there. In other words, this is the box for excerpts. This is the meta box for custom fields. This is the one for tracksbacks, discussion, comments, slug, author, etc. We don't see them there. This is one of the things I don't like about WordPress. We go under screen options, we can then turn things on. Right. Yeah, I think that they should default having them all on, personally. But, you know, 6 to 1, half a dozen the other, I guess. You know, things that annoy me are going to be helpful to somebody else and vice versa, right? So I'm going to update that. So now, every time I make a new posting, I should see these other fields in there. I pretty much keep all my fields, most of my fields, or these are called meta boxes, okay? So if you ever hear the term meta boxes, especially when you're getting to custom postings or custom post types, this is what we mean, meta boxes. Okay. So given that, right, what if I then actually am going to go to go under my examples folder, and I am going to go lorem ipsum history, because I think dummy copy that is history of lorem ipsum is really wicked funny instead of actual lorem ipsum. Just run with me. Yeah, yeah. Hipsterist ipsum can get annoying. Samuel Jackson ipsum, you might not want to show a client that, right? You can use whatever lorem ipsum you want, right? But if I go back here to my first demo posting, again, if I grab text that I post into, and I'm going to want to do this. I'm going to toggle the toolbar right now. I forgot to do that. And again, why they have part of the toolbar hidden, I don't know. But we want to see this. When you are copying and pasting text from another source, like let's say you're that guy that a lot of people send job postings to. And you appreciate being that guy because you want to pass these things off to your students, right? For instance, web development intern needed or something like that. Well, you'll get a lot of times things sent to you in a Word document, right? And if you copy and paste something out of a Word document right into this text editor, what it's actually going to do is, so let me just go and paste what I pasted in there. Why am I getting that little border around it? Well, if I go to the text or the code view, it has given me a pre-tag around that. Why? I don't know. Because where I got it from is a .txt file, and if I view page source, it's just text, right? So WordPress is interpreted, oh, let's put a pre-tag around that, okay? So if I then paste stuff into the rich text editor here that I've gotten from Word, it will put a lot of inline styles in there, so on and so forth. It already has a format to it, which is kind of annoying. So what I end up doing then is I will paste as plain text. Okay, and if I paste it as plain text, then I can go here and select, right? I have paragraph returns. Let's see if it's, so the text editor here can be quite, right, and kind of annoying. So if you think to yourself, Mike, why is it doing this? And Mike's answer is, it's what it does, right? You then will have to quite often reformat stuff. So basically what I did is when I added a headline here, heading 2, heading 2, so on and so forth, update, view post, right? So now you see that I have as my first demo posting, right? If I go back to the home page, actually this is the home page, right? Where here's hello world, here is first demo posting, okay? Notice what happened. How many of you have gone to websites and what I just did was, oh, it looks like I'm actually on the actual posting, right? Instead of the feed. So if I click on this, notice how up here in the URL, it says first demo posting 2017-4/17, right? So I'm actually on that page or on that posting. Versus being here on the home page where I'm looking at a feed of postings. But this looks like it's the whole posting, doesn't it? Right? So how many of you have ever been on a website where the feed of postings is a whole way too much text, right? So what I do instead on my website is, we go back to my school website here. What you're seeing right here is the same thing, a page that is the feed of the latest postings, right? But it is calling the title, the date, the categories, and the excerpt with a read more link, okay? So if I go to edit this one now, I have something in my excerpt field that gets pulled as the snippet of text for the post feed. Again, closing the windows that I don't need, just to kind of keep myself organized. This functionality isn't built into this theme, okay? That is something that we are going to, when we get to it, so if I go to my demo prototype and I go to the blog feed here, title, date, featured image, excerpt, read more link, repository. Let's go to that demo. Eventually, we are going to use a function called the excerpt, okay, to pull that excerpt from the meta box called excerpt. Here's what you should not do. Everybody, if you're going to learn one thing today, it's to learn to not do this. If I go to this posting and I go to edit this posting, and I put my cursor right here, and I hit this insert read more tag, you can achieve the same thing by doing this. Right? Don't do that though. That is the, here's what I mean, Tran, because your face is looking like, well, why? Why shouldn't I do that, right? You want to engineer your theme to pull the correct bit of information to present in the website. This is the poor man's version of doing the same thing, okay? Design through the editor versus controlling the design through the way you engineered your theme. Does that make sense? Right? Because eventually what we're going to do is this excerpt right here is also, how many of you have taken the writing for the web class? A couple of you. Remember when we talked about meta descriptions, right? So this is the field that we are going to get our meta descriptions from as well. So what you want to do for this field possibly is, so let's go to my business site and let's go to this one, where this excerpt right here is very keyword dense. grid, website, layout, responsive, CSS, JavaScript, etc., and does not match the text up here. So if I did this, right? This text would be that summary text. That's not what I want to do, okay? Instead, I want to create that keyword dense summary text that also then gets used as my meta description, because I've told my theme to then for the meta description, use the get the excerpt function to go get that meta box for the excerpt. So you see how the puzzle pieces are already starting to fall in, right? I see you, Sean, going, oh, okay, I get that, right? Where what we are going to be doing is, this is what I mean by WordPress has these puzzle pieces, right? And then they have their own functional way of calling those puzzle pieces. So if I want the excerpt for a posting to show up in the meta description, then when I get to coding my theme, I can say, now I don't even need to say script tags here, because the get the excerpt function, there's two different functions. The excerpt, get the excerpt. The excerpt doesn't use an echo function. Get the excerpt uses and doesn't put p tags around it. So I should actually get rid of that, but that's another story, right? So does that make sense? That's how eventually we're going to hard code that kind of stuff, train. So try not to do a lot of the, in other words, when I first started doing WordPress a long time ago and started working on my band's website, there was a lot of stuff that I did through the editor like that, with thumbnail images and stuff like that, because I didn't know how to actually engineer a theme. Now that I know how to engineer a theme properly, I look at the work that I did in my band's website and go, oh my God, I can't believe I did it that way. That's such the rookie amateur way of doing it. But at the time, I was a rookie amateur because I was learning how to do it, right? Okay, so if we go back to then this posting now, right? What I recommend when you guys are doing your dummy postings and pages in your website is, oh, what I also forgot to say was when I put this title in here, it also duplicates that as the permalink. So remember how we were talking about permalinks when we were talking about settings, right? If we go and view this post, it is going to, by default, take the title of that posting and write it in slug format. So this is also a slug right here. So the convention that WordPress uses is all lowercase, and in between it uses dashes and not underscores. Why not underscores? Let's play trivia. Dashes versus underscores. Why do we use dashes and not underscores? Those of you that took writing for the web class should know this. Underscores will read, if it says first underscore demo underscore posting, Google will read that all as one word. Or used to. They don't anymore, but a long time ago they did. Versus if you use dashes between words, Google will read those as separate words separated by dashes. So in terms of search engine optimization, you would want to use dashes versus underscores. Because I don't know I don't know about the other search engines and whether they recognize that underscores are typically spaces, but mean something with the URL. Does that make sense? Anthony?
Yes.
So we're relying. Okay. So I'm actually then going to, now that we've done that, I am going to move this one to the trash. Oh. I'm going to move testing to the trash. I'm going to move hello world to the trash. I'm going to go to the trash. And I'm going to select all these. And I'm going to empty the trash. Because here's what I actually want. What I suggest is that when you are previewing stuff, do this. If I go to new post, I'm going to go to text this time. And this is where I'm going to paste HTML in here. Okay? I'm going to get rid of the H1 tag. And up there, categories news, publish. Again, text, paste code in there. Visual, this is where you just paste visual, normal stuff that then you can format. So you can see that what's happening here is this theme right here has a CSS file that will then show me in the editor what text will look like. Not all themes do, right? But again, if we then view this post based on our CSS file that is working with this theme, it is then going to present how these look, right? And this right here is probably an 8. Let's inspect it. So that's an H1, which is why I got rid of the H1. Here is then the content that then has P tags, H2, OL, block quote, etc. Because eventually you are going to need to test your theme and you are going to need to represent all of the possible styles. So how many of you took the typography class from me, right? And I made you guys do certain levels of headers, certain paragraphs in a row to check your styles, right? Same thing here. If then I look at one of my demo pages, right? I have that HTML ipsum in here so that I can proof what a paragraph tags look like, proof what a paragraph tag looks like, proof a bold. So if I inspect this, proof bold or a strong tag, proof an M tag, a hot link, a level 3 header, an ordered list, a block quote, another level 3 header, a bulleted list, so on and so forth. So whenever I'm putting a demo together for a client, then I will use that HTML ipsum, right? And use headlines that, if I'm doing postings, are lorem ipsum type headlines. But if we actually go to this posting, right, you can see it has styles and images and everything, a block quote, everything that I may need to proof according to my style sheets, right? Did I make you guys do this in Web 200? I suggested it, right? How many of you used that file? Trang? No? It's a really good file, right? So again, HTML ipsum. Same thing. If you need, you know, sample paragraphs or list items, long and short, so on and so forth, right? Here's what I'm saying. Yes, I understand that I'm copying and pasting this stuff, but I know how to write headline tags and paragraph tags and all that kind of stuff. I'm not learning how to do that anymore, right? So copying and pasting lorem ipsum like that is legit. If you're copying and pasting huge chunks of div tags and CSS, that's what you shouldn't be copying and pasting, right? Okay. So, yay, we have a posting. Create a new posting. Let's go back to our lecture, because I just get rolling on the improv stuff. And hopefully I covered everything in my lecture. See how I go back to my lectures to check to see I covered everything? It's awesome, isn't it? So we're creating content. So we haven't done pages yet, but in terms of a posting, create a new posting, right? You can then see the administration panels. You can see that when you had Hello World in there, I deleted that posts edit subpanel. Man, they have broken a lot of stuff in the codex. Anyhow, the edit post subpanel is this, which is what I call the rich text editor, right? So here again, you can see I put in that lorem ipsum stuff, previewed it, whatever. So now let's talk about pages, because when we start talking about pages, we are also going to have to set up a navigation schema for pages. Okay? So if we go to the assignment page, create your content menu system. Here's what I want you guys to do. Create pages for your site. So I am going to create a standard set of pages. About, blog, contact, portfolio, and portfolio then is going to have subpages associated with it. Ready? Here I go, and I'm going to do that. I always got to make sure I'm in the right one. Spring section 1 demo, right? So if I'm at my dashboard, and again, I go to postings, you can see that I created that one posting. We'll create more postings later. But for now, we need to create a set of pages. Okay. I also forgot one page that I need to create, home. I'm going to trash the sample page. I'm going to go to the trash. I am then going to Select all and empty trash. Pages, add new. I'm going to start off and I'm going to add home, right? Again, home is, if I go to my business website, is eventually going to be the home page. Home is eventually going to be the home page. I know. Wild, I know, right? And again, we are eventually going to, in our settings, set home page to be our static page. Again, I use the name welcome here. I could have used home. If we go to my WEB170 demo proto site, and I go to pages, I have home here. It should tell me that that's the front page. Interesting. Let's go to yeah, huh, interesting. It's not, I was expecting it to say this. Interesting. Oh well, we'll move on. Add new page, home. And again, in here, right, I want to go take that HTML ipsum and instead of visual, I want to go to text because I'm going to be pasting code in here, right? And I'm going to get rid of the H1 tag because the H1 tag is going to be presenting this title right there instead. Back to visual. Now, this is what the page editor looks like. So in terms of this page editor here, you don't have categories. Why? Correct. It's not a posting. So it's a different type of post object. Okay? Meaning, let's just go back to whiteboard drawing. Pages then are the normal hierarchy, right? Versus postings are the timely news blog content. So postings typically are categorized by categories. Pages are inherently categorized by parent pages and subpages. So we then build out a hierarchy type tree environment. Okay, so homepage. A certain order. So for instance, we are on my lecture series here. These show in a certain order because I've told it to. I'm going to leave that alone for right now. And I'm going to publish that. Notice as well, if I go to screen options, I have to turn the screen options on for pages as well. Once you turn them on for postings and when you turn them on for pages, they should stay active in your dashboard. Notice what's missing though in pages. Pages by default don't have an excerpt field. I don't understand why. An excerpt field is so useful when it comes to SEO. So we are going to enable the excerpt meta box for pages later on down the road. Don't worry about it now, okay? But nonetheless, I turned all those other things on. Update. So now if I go back to pages here, I have my home page. Let's view. And this theme right now does not support, or we haven't turned on the menu system. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to set up my pages and then I will turn on the menu system. And then we'll go back and do images and some editing of some stuff, okay? So, home page. Go to my dashboard. Stretch a little bit. Another page. Notice what shows up now. Now that I have a page, I also have a drop down for, do you want to give this page a parent? Well, I'm going to make an about page, start off with. I'm going to go back to here, paste in the lorem ipsum stuff. Back to the visual pane, so you see it there. I'm going to delete that one. Do that, and that's not what I want. Delete the tag. So sometimes you have to go back and forth between the visual editor and the HTML editor to kind of see what happened in terms of tags and stuff like that. But, you know, whatever. I know, troubling, isn't it? So you have to pay attention, that's what I'm saying. But, you know, you have to pay attention when you're driving, otherwise you're going to get into an accident. Think about that. Ooh. Those scare me, man. I don't, you know. I'm just so you guys know, my goal right now in life is to save as much money as possible so I can move out to the woods as soon as possible and leave all you guys, right? So I'm just here temporarily doing this. This is not my long-term goal. Moving out to the woods by myself with nobody around me is my long-term goal. Okay, my wife and my pets and my children, if they, once my children grow up, they can kind of come back, but they're going to have a separate house. Those little slimy, smelly bastards. My wife wants separate bedrooms, but that's another story. Okay. So the about page. New page. Portfolio. And if you guys want, you guys for your website, all I care about is, just like in the Web 200 class, is one page is a parent page, is a gateway page that has children. So I'm going to use my portfolio section as my children, or the one that has children, okay? Again, we go back here to this text, put that in, delete that, check it, publish. So now I'm going to make a page that is going to be a child page to portfolio. Logos. That. Use the Think Aloud protocol because I think that's a funny joke. And then I'm going to choose for parent, portfolio. New page. Print. Print, parent page, portfolio, publish, new page. Websites. Portfolio, publish. Page, bless you. This is the one that I'm going to have as my blog feed. But I'm not going to set that up just yet. So we're just going to leave it like that. No parent, publish. And lastly, page, contact. And instead of putting that text in here, what? Oh, I can't spell. Thank you. Contact. I'm less dyslexic sometimes. So instead of putting that text in here, what should I want to put in here? Remember the contact form that we put on a sample page? Let's go put that. So we're going to copy the short code from the contact. Did you guys put in you guys haven't gotten there yet, right? So on the contact page, then I'm going to put that short code in here. And if I view that contact page, then now that's my contact page. So again, right now I have a full page tree that I created, right? About, blog, contact, home, portfolio, logos, print, websites, okay? So that's posts and pages. Just double checking through my notes that I hit everything. I did. So I'm going to skip editing and formatting text in WordPress and then uploading images. We've kind of done editing and formatting text in WordPress already, but I'm going to skip to the creating navigation menus. Okay. So there are a few different ways to create a menu system in WordPress. The first way of doing it is just strictly through code. Okay? So my website here for my school website is really big. Okay? And it's big, but it's structured. Okay? So meaning that I have different types of navigation systems. I have, what do you call this type of navigation system up here? Let's start with the easy one. This navigation system. You guys are killing me. This is the primary menu or main menu. This one up here is the utility. Okay. Here are where the categories go. If we then go into a main menu, This then right over here is the local or secondary submenu, okay? So what I have, how I've set up my menu system for my school website is all through code and custom fields. Meaning, if I go to edit this page, I have a custom field, which we'll talk about later on down the road and implement a custom field, that the name is navigation and the value is main. This is eventually, or what this is a key value pair, right? You may know a key value pair from associative arrays, okay? As well, if I then go to, back up here, and go to the lecture that we are talking about right now, creating navigation and menus in WordPress, and I go to edit this page, this page has a parent, WEB170. Its order is number 10. It too has a name, value, or key value pair, navigation, lecture. Okay. So this is a secondary level page that if I looked at my page tree in the dashboard, you can see how all the pages in my website are set up as class numbers. Right, so here's a class, here is a subpage to that class, and then if I, for instance, go and edit this page, then what I've done is it is a secondary level page, but its navigation is lecture versus this one's navigation being assignment. So what I've done is, right, so I've used custom fields, and so here's my get my main menu function, which then says get pages, meta key, navigation, main. So I'm setting up a variable that gets all the main pages. For each one of those main pages, switch it to using the variable of main so that I can get something like the ID of one of the main pages. From there, I have then put all of the sub-navigation into camps, lectures, assignment, exercises, teams, etc., using navigation, key, lecture, assignment, exercise, etc. So what I'm saying is, here is this function called WP list pages, right? Where if you want to hard code a navigational schema, because the taxonomy is pretty intricate and you want to do it like that, you're going to use the WP list pages function, right? So there are two ways of calling navigation or ways of calling pages. This one, WP List Pages, which was the original way that WordPress did it. Then, after a while, WordPress integrated into the system, being able to, well, let's just say it like this. For my school website, if we go to Appearance, Menus, I started creating a menu system here, but I ditched it because of the scale of my website, right? So a while back, I don't remember what year it was, WordPress then integrated this menu structure, this new menu system into its admin, where a user could control then how many menus you wanted to set up, how the pages and items were displayed and organized, etc. So on my school website, I don't use this. In my business website, then, I do. In my business website, I have then menus that are segregated into my main menu and my footer menu. Okay, so meaning if we visit my site, here is my main menu. Here is my footer menu. Oh, you shouldn't be up there. Let's see. Okay, footer menu, main menu. So if I go back to my dashboard then, go to menus, I've set two menu systems up. And then I can select which one I want to edit. So for instance, my footer menu, I have some custom links that aren't even pages that I've put in there. I've also put categories under my pages. So you can set up your menu system however you want to set it up. This is where your clients will this up so bad. It's terrible, man. Don't ever go back to a website that you did years ago to see how they've screwed it up. You'll be so sad. You'll be so sad, okay? But what we are gonna do then is we are eventually gonna use that list pages function when we get into doing some subnav menu system. But for right now, we've set up our page structure here, okay? So if we go to appearance and menus, it depends on the theme, possibly, right? Of where and how these menus get set up, meaning eventually in our work that we do, oh man, I just closed the demo that I wanted open. Open that, and I'm going to open this repository. So in our demo here, if I go to dashboard, appearance, menus, I have created a menu name for main. And as well, I've set up its location, right? So our theme, we have to enable menus in our theme when we get there. In our functions file, we are going to register menus eventually. Okay? In our, let's see, if I go to, I thought I opened Dreamweaver earlier. How many times do I have to click on Dreamweaver before it opens? 5? Yeah. Janine. So the theme that you may have chosen, a pre-existing theme, may or may not have menus registered. So because I am using the 2016 theme, and I open the functions file for the 2016 theme, they have registered primary and social. Okay. So what we're going to do is now go back here. I am going to then create a new menu. I know this kind of gets like, what? Just they label it here, they label it there, they label it here. It all comes together. It's like, you know, pin the tail on the donkey. Just go with it. I'm going to create a new menu. We'll call it main. Create that menu. Okay. I can then add menu items from the left-hand column. I also want to go to manage locations here because I've set up a menu. And remember that in this theme currently, they have primary and social. When I was in mine, I registered main. Okay. So if I want to manage locations here, primary and social. So I want to say, well, I've just set up a menu that I'm calling main. Bless you. So I want to say that they've registered primary menu. I've created one called main. I want my main menu to occupy their primary menu space. Okay. So again, it will be theme dependent. You set up your menu system. You then match it to the themes menu system. Does that make sense? Probably not completely. Just run with it. I'm going to save changes. And now that I've done that, if I go back to edit menus here, I have all these pages that I've created. So I want a main menu that has the contact page, the blog page, the portfolio, website, prints, logos, and about. I can then add this to menu, right? And so if I do this and I save this menu and I visit the site, here is their main menu schema. But I don't want it to look like that. Why is About all the way over there? Why isn't Logos, Print, and Websites underneath Portfolio? Why isn't Contact over there? Okay, so just like I use the order system to say within the list pages function how I want things to be ordered, I want my About page to be up top. I want my Contact page to be down at the bottom. I want my blog to be down here. I want websites to be a subpage, a portfolio. I want logos to be the first subpage. I want print to be the second subpage. Okay, so this is where you can then take all the pages you have and make your own custom menu system out of it to then be displayed in a WordPress website, right? This is the way that I generally do menus now for clients and for my business sites and some other sites of mine, right? My school website, I didn't set up this way because here's the thing. If I create a new page now, well, let's just view this. Save menu. Visit website. So now I have this menu system about portfolio, blog, contact. Well, what if I say new page and I want to add a new portfolio section? Research. Publish. Oops. Parent page. Portfolio. Update. View page. Okay, it's there. But if I go back to the home page, why is it not in my menu system? Correct. So it's not automatic like when I am in my, so if I'm in my student website, right? And I go and visit website and let's go to WEB170 and here are all my lectures and here are all my assignments, right? So let's say assignment 13, search engine optimization. So let's say I want to say new page. Yeah, yeah. And I'll use the schema and way I set it up. And I view page because I've set mine up in code the way I've set mine up. Final exam for Anthony is going to show up under assignments. Need to give it an order. So there it is, right? But because in here, I haven't set the menu system to pull it because I'm using the WP nav system versus the list pages function. And we'll show you how to call that in code later on. I then have to manually add that in there in the menu system for it to appear then. So now it's there. Okay, so I'm going to stop here for today, and then we'll pick up the editing text one that we've kind of done, and then the one for media, right? So you guys can have a little bit of lab time today. But again, the assignment that is associated with this week's lecture series is going to be then create your content menu system. So you have to create a set of pages, right? 4 pages. Give yourself an about. I mean, you might as well just do portfolio and I don't know. But about contact, put your contact form on your contact page, right? And then, so for your page structure, right, all these pages should have, ooh, I don't have that resource there. Let me edit. Huh? This is the assignment associated with this week's lectures.
Oh,
It's due at the end of next week. Okay. So I'm going to link to this HTML Ipsum for you guys. So basically, you're going to have a set of pages that, you know, I would just recommend, like I said, doing about contact blog, portfolio, and your portfolio, giving it some subsections, right? And then do some, so all pages should include text that represents level 1 or level 2 heading, at least 2 or 3 level headings, 2 paragraphs per headline, so on and so forth, just like we did in the typography class, right? Because when we get to checking our CSS file against text on our website, that'll be very important. So yeah, that's the assignment that's due by the end of next week, right? You like how I'm asking you guys when things are due? Isn't that fun? Yeah. Oh, you can use that navigation schema, yeah, for whatever project you did. Yeah. That's a better idea. Yeah. Yeah, so if you did the project in 200 or 120, and does it have sub-navigation, sub-pages? Yeah, add some sub-pages, make them up. I don't care. I just don't care. As long as you have pages and sub-pages. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. All righty. So, in closing, Kristen, I'd like to apologize for talking about you at the beginning of class, saying, "Where is Kristen?" I bet you she's just going to stay home and watch the video. Maybe she'll show up to class. Okay, thanks.